Yeah, this is exciting because this is new for me, and the goal with this is I've been thinking a lot about this idea of creating a content series called Motivational Person of the Week, where I just interview a lot of people that I find inspiring or that who have uh, a very inspiring philosophy of their own like life, and I just want to pick apart people's brains and just kind of, I don't know, just have a conversation and see what comes out. Evan, could you explain to me how you where you are right now, explain maybe that first domino effect that got you to where you are right now in your life. You're a body worker. Like what was that maybe process to get to where you are right now?
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot I could talk about there, I
For
guess,
sure.
because there's all kind of different dominoes that all kind of coalesced into one kind of stream, right? But
Hmm.
I guess specific to body work, my own back injury was huge. I want to say I was going into my sophomore year of high school when I was deadlifting in my garage, like before I knew how to deadlift properly, right? Horrible form. And I never got a diagnosis, but I feel like I partially tore like some of the spinal erectors, in the low back. Definitely messed up QL a little bit, but point being, I was incapacitated for a couple days, and then it was this nagging injury that it would I'd have to stop wrestling practices early sometimes. I could only run up to like a mile. It was just this constant thing that didn't really handicap me, but it felt like it was putting a cap on my physical potential for sure. Um, and I just kind of lived with it and dealt with it over for a few years, and lots of heat and ice and stretching and all the normal stuff.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point in college where it was just getting worse, and I had to stop wrestling. And that was a big emotional blow for me. I traveled out of state to go to college, and I picked that college for the wrestling program. So now it felt like I was like away from home, disconnected from the purpose of why I was even there.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a lot of time, dude. I spent a lot of time being really resentful towards my back and my body for that. Even if I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
consciously aware of it, I was pissed off at myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't help me heal. That didn't
Mm.
help me feel better on a physical level, let alone an emotional level. And
Yes.
it was I started, I know we've talked about Wim Hof a lot. We both love Wim Hof stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it was around that time that one of my friends introduced me to his breathing method. And working with that breathing and those stretches that Wim Hof kind of incorporates in his program was one of the first times I really felt empowered in terms of helping my back, because I
Mm.
realized that kind of muscular spasm I was getting, it's not necessarily just about babying it and leaving it alone and letting it rest. I needed to be moving it with breath and moving it in a
Mm.
safe, strong way. And I didn't have any concept of that until I started working with breath like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a long first domino, to get back to
Yep.
the question. But if it weren't for that back injury, I don't think I ever would have been as interested in the therapeutic process and how muscles generate pain and all the stuff that I'm so jazzed up about now.
Okay, I see. So yeah, the Wim Hof, the breathing, the experiencing pain in your own body and trying to get to a place of, gosh, just relief from that kind of said, wow, this is exciting. So maybe tell the listeners and the viewers what you're doing now. What is tell us a little bit about your bodywork practice.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of going through a 2-year certification program out of the Coaching the Body Institute in Chicago. And this is an institute that was founded by a man named Chuck Duff. And what Chuck has done is he was trained in traditional Thai massage, and then he kind of married that with more contemporary trigger point therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So he uses a lot of the positions and techniques and motions of Thai massage, but with a very clinical, analytical, scientifically informed framework about how antagonist pairs of muscles work, how certain types of pressure or compression or moving things through range can help release these trigger points. Like he's really kind of, you know, brought some old to the new and vice
Yeah.
versa. And I'm a big fan of the method. It seems to be pretty effective. And yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely. No, I can speak to that, having, experienced your work. Uh, the it it is a like you said, it's a very therapeutic focused way. I remember when we were done, I don't even remember how much time had passed. It felt like 3 hours. It was like 10 minutes or something. I don't know. Uh, but once I was done, it literally felt like my body was, relaxed and loose in all of its joints, and I just felt a an extremely therapeutic sense to your work. So, and
Mhm.
you've only been doing it what, for 6 months?
Yeah, the first weekend clinic where they kind of, showed me the ropes and the basics was in July.
Yeah,
So about
yeah.
7 months,
Okay.
I'd say.
Yeah, so you're right on course to doing some really awesome work. But now I want to get into, I guess, the deeper philosophy of your what you're experiencing, and your consciousness, your evolution. Like what really do you think, and maybe if this is the first time you're thinking about it, is the value of what you do, like your service of treating the body, and just your life's work. What is the value of that? Why is it so important to you that you continue down this path of evolution? Because you could have had that breath work, thing happen to you, and you're like, yeah, this is cool, but it started something in you that you're like, I want to give this to other people. So like, what is that deeper philosophy of this healing work that you found yourself in?
Yeah, that's a deep one, man. You're
It
asking
is.
big questions
I
today.
have to I have to bring
I
it out because
guess
I know you have some good thoughts in there.
do it, dude. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I guess there's kind of a couple different points to that.
Yeah.
One is, I guess I was always a sensitive kid, right? Is kind of like the term they use for it. I was always like, I wanted people to feel good. Like I was always sensitive to whether people were upset or not.
Mm.
And in some ways and in sometimes that gave me some anxiety because I was worried about making the people around me feel weird or uncomfortable or whatever, right? Um,
Yeah.
but like everything, you can kind of twist it into a useful tool. And so that sense of empathy and compassion, just kind of grew over time. And I've been very fortunate to have some experiences with people and just out in nature of feeling, what I take to be reality of the interconnectedness of everybody.
Hmm.
There's a form of Buddhist meditation that is called sympathetic joy. I can't remember the Pali name for it, but basically all you do is you visualize fantastic, wonderful things happening to another person, and you just like
Ah.
cheer them on in your head. You're
Oh
like, hell
yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
I was doing that one day, and I realized that I felt just as good imagining these things happening to someone else as I would feel if they happened to me. I realized there was
Mm.
no difference between good things happening to me and good things happening to another person.
Dude, that's so profound. That makes me feel like, oh, that makes me feel so good hearing you say that. Keep going, keep going.
Oh yeah, you're good. Um, so I guess, there's that piece, right, of realizing we're all connected. We're all so important. The realization that like I don't know when I'm gonna die. I don't know when I'm gonna leave this earthly arena where I have a chance to do things and put my energy in certain directions. So why not put it in a positive direction?
Yes.
Everybody wants to feel safe, everybody wants to feel happy and accepted and loved. So like what other direction is there to put my energy in ultimately,
Yeah, and
you
so
know?
you think that body work and this intentional healing touch is a good way to make people achieve those feelings? Like what
Hmm.
that's just a beautiful thought, man. Yeah, and I'm trying to dig deeper into, opening up and helping people understand that, massage, healing touch, intentional touch can help people get to that space. Have you had any experiences within these 7 months of, your bodywork practice where you have had a really touching moment? Like, have you had a super profound moment in that work and you're like, wow, yeah, this is the transcendence. Like, this is the deep work. Like, I'm experiencing this connectedness in this one short session. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
I don't know that I've had like blast off on DMT type
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
For sure, for sure.
profound experiences, but definitely little tastes. And what's interesting is, when I'm working on like someone's shoulders or hips, like if I'm doing like an on the mat bodywork session,
Hmm.
um, I get glimpses of that kind of, oh, that feeling of just kind of detaching from my own body and just watching what's happening and seeing one
Mm.
person caring for another person, and just the beauty in that. And that's not even to pat myself or any healers on the back for doing that.
Mhm.
It's just what a cool thing to watch.
Totally. Something I have learned in my own massage practice is, I've not quite tested this. This is really all just in my head, my own perception. But it's like when I'm working on someone, and it's not in every massage, but there are some moments where I feel very energetically connected to this soul, this individual that I'm working with. And it's like I can work on, let's say a tight, shoulders or pecs, and we all know that might be because someone's sitting at a computer for a long amount of time. But sometimes my body can, like, it starts to create this story in my head where, like, all of these this years of maybe trauma, or maybe some like psychological trauma that they might experience, actually shows up in the body. And sometimes it will, like, I don't know, like, I can't even give you an example because it happens so quickly. But it's like I'll be working, like you said, on the hips or something, and then just this vision will like pop up, and it will maybe describe to me an energetic way of why there's actually tension in the hips. Like, yeah, it might be because you sit in a car too long, but there actually might be something else associated with that. Like, it could be repressed sexual energy, right? It could be like sexual trauma because we're working on the hips, or it could be like my thing with the shoulders. Like, there might be a tight shoulders because of a closed heart, right? We need to be able to open this up. I find that when I can take my clients and I can just spread them open on the table, I remember some of these experiences where I would just open them up and I just speak affirmations to them, like let yourself be vulnerable, let yourself, like, show up to the world, and let your chest be open because you're strong. And just getting to that next level with body work, not just touching on the physical aspect. Like, yeah, you're working at a desk, you need to open your chest. No, you need to open your chest because of this emotional trauma that that I can almost sense that you're experiencing. Because I think that people yeah, don't we're not at that maybe level where we're comfortable enough to communicate, because we really don't know what's going on, like, in our own emotional body. So that's why I love body work and the work that we do. Because, and I think especially as, Troy and Evan, the individual, we really offer that space for people to communicate that. I think that getting to a place in our practices to just keep allowing that space to happen, more people will really understand that they're not just coming to get some body work done, they're really coming to get their soul cleansed. They're really coming to clean the table. Yeah, that was a beautiful little thought there. Now I do want to go into a little bit of questions I have. So Let's switch it up. What's your favorite color, Evan?
Favorite color? It's like a blue and green are kind of equal, honestly,
Yeah,
like a
that's
nice
so
forest
wild.
green and then
Yeah.
like a nice deep blue. The lighting's pretty poor, so like this doesn't convey it well, but
Yeah. No, that's so that I now I'm almost I want to ask every healer friend that I have because I wonder what theirs is because mine's the same. It's like my I grew up blue, and then there was a moment where I started to be like, actually green kind of sparks my eye. Like there's something to that, and but I could never let go of my childhood favorite color. So it was like, yeah, blue green is like my favorite. I'd say like a sage or a sage green or an olive green, something that's a little bit more black, gray tones. um, yeah, and I don't know what that is for me. Like, there's just something about those two colors that just make me, just excites me. I haven't figured out really the deeper meaning to that. But anyway, go ahead. Go
oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, green, like it's the heart chakra color,
Yes.
and in a lot of
Yes.
shamanic traditions, it's the color of healing. Like if you see green energy, that's healing energy happening.
Mm.
So,
Oh, that
I think
makes
there's
sense.
something to it, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. What does intuition mean to you, Evan?
Oh man. Intuition is so I think there's different ways of knowing, right? And there's conceptual knowing, which involves thoughts, right? And then there's intuition, which is still knowing, but it's past thoughts. It doesn't rely on conceptual structures to contain the knowledge, the wisdom that it is. It's just this direct experiencing of how things are.
Ah, no, I totally that was great. You really hit the nail on that one. Right. It's beyond thought. It's beyond yeah, this is right. Like intuition is almost like the way that you described it, the way that I'm interpreting your philosophy of that is it's like being a king, it's something that I'll say every once in a while is like like if you're unsure of what to do, do nothing because you will know what to do when you're doing it, when you're in the mode of the being, and like that's kind of that really that correlates to what you're saying. Like it's not about thinking your way into doing something, it's just following your inspiration, following that excitement, and just having a deep sense of trust that you're knowing you're in the right place. You're doing the right things, and that's beautiful. And it actually leads into my next question, like what does inspiration mean to you? What is inspiration?
Oh man. I think I guess the way I see it is like inspiration is it's just part of our natural environment. Like it's always around us, like I think every
Mm.
part of the physical world, every part of the emotional world, like it's saying something. It's an invitation, right? It's an invitation to really drop in and be with it, and to let your own energy flow in a responsive way to it. But the reason why we're not walking around constantly inspired by everything is because we're preoccupied. We've got other shit on our minds. So when like inspiration in the classic sense happens, I don't think it's because this extraordinary idea fell out of the cosmos and hit us in the head. I think it's we just kind of looked up from our own mental clutter for long enough to look at what's right in front of us anyway.
Wow. Yeah, you're saying some gems, bro. That's so amazing. So you're saying that like life is literally living itself all around us, through us at all times, and once we just get to that awareness, everything can become inspiring because it always was. It was never a point of like, oh wow, this new thought. It's like, no, it's this new me who's able to see this thing. That's really amazing actually. That's really amazing. Yeah, I really love that. Something such a different take to what you say. Uh, I heard that like so inspiration. When I think of inspiration, it's like it's it's breathing life into people, and to inspire really has nothing to do with let's say, the words and even what you were saying about intuition, the mental, the cognitive ability. It's the emotion and the energetic feeling that is behind what you're experiencing. It's not about when you inspire someone, it's not like you're not giving them the plan and the words and the physical thing. What you're giving them is like you could even say like an energetic download or an energetic transmission. Like the reason I think why we get inspired by one another is because, oh, there's this feeling in my body that like something happens, and I want to give people that feeling. I want to, and that's one of the big reasons why I want to make this podcast, this content series, is because I think people are going to listen, and they won't maybe necessarily listen to our words, but they will sense a sense of God, like a comfortability in what we're saying, or like that we're content with what we're communicating with each other. And I think that we just need more of that content to be surrounded, kind of like you say, like we need more of, well, no, I don't know, my mind's going a million miles a minute. Anyway, I'm gonna drop that conversation. I'm gonna go to the next question. What does inspiration mean? Ooh, this is a good question that came up. So how would you describe yourself in third person? Like tell who is Evan in third person?
Oh man, people ask, like, I've been, posed that before, and it's I've never thought it out through to the end,
That's what's up.
Gosh.
And it's always changing, right? Like what you're gonna tell me right
Yeah.
now is different what you might tell yourself tomorrow. But like in this moment, who is Evan, and communicate that through a third person.
Uh, oh man, Evan's a little hard on himself. I
Word.
think Evan's got a good heart. I think he wants the right things. He's just a little unsure sometimes. There's just a little trepidation, a little doubt going on. Um, yeah, I
Thank
don't
you for
know. He's
being
pretty handsome,
honest.
I guess.
Thank you for being honest. That's beautiful. So that actually leads into a good sector, because yeah, no, that's really good, because it's like what do you do with that? Like what do you do with that unsureness? Because Troy feels the same. Troy feels very much similar to that self-doubt, and that seems to be one of the biggest obstacles to face as a human. Is like for Troy's experience, it's like, what do you do in the face of doubt? Like what does doubt mean to you? What does doubt mean to you? Like how do you overcome that? Because you're never going to get away from it. So like what do you, and maybe you will, but like what do you do with that? What do you do when doubt comes to you, Evan?
I look at it as squarely as I can. I try to feel it wherever it might be manifesting in my body. And I thank it because I know that it's just my mind and my body trying to protect me. It comes from a place of love. It would my physical, psycho, spiritual complex, like whatever all the energetic systems that are going on are, they produce things like anxiety and fear because they want to keep us in a place where our body won't get eaten by a wild animal,
Mm,
or won't fall off a cliff,
yeah.
or we won't overestimate right? So I take the perspective that all these limiting mind states, we develop them for a very healthy reason, and it's all out of love. It's just because we want to keep this body, this person safe.
Mm,
And once I'm able to look at that doubt and say, thank you for trying to keep me safe, but right now we're gonna push the boundaries a little bit. I acknowledge your contribution, body and mind, but as a as a conscious being, I'm choosing to step past that right now.
mm,
But I think that gratitude, I think seeing that doubt as an act of love is it's been key for me, you know,
mm.
because otherwise I just resent it, and then I'm just fighting aversion with
Yeah.
aversion.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually a really solid point. Yeah, you speak that in such a graceful way, because as you're saying that, I'm like kind of laughing at myself, because I'm like, Man, I can literally remember a moment where I was laying in bed one time and I'm falling asleep and I'm like had a really successful day, and then this freaking doubt just starts creeping in, telling me that, you know, no one likes what I'm doing, like, you know, my future's not as bright as I think it is. And I literally had to look at that bitch and I was like, fuck you. Fuck
Yeah.
you. This is mine. Like, this life is mine. This body is mine. I am in control of what I'm in control of what I'm gonna do. So that's so two great ways to look at it. It's like, yeah, there's some moments that call for that peaceful, you know, gardener at war, you know, like no, like thank you for your presence. And then there's like the other like warrior side of like, fuck you, this is mine. Like this is my fence, and yeah, you're not allowed inside the castle. uh, that no that's a great way to look at that our our fears are not necessarily there yet to punish you, man. They're not. We're really not, as humans, in the business of trying to make life worse. It's just how we've evolved. We're yeah, we're protecting ourselves. It has nothing to do with trying to make this life miserable. This is just what we know to keep us safe, because it's how we can make more babies, and it's how we can, you know, like, at least with safety there is some sort of security. You know, there's maybe less freedom or there's less excitement, but there is a knowing, and I think we do crave that knowing. So to go with that doubt and go with those self-limiting beliefs, it gives us that sense of certainty and control, that we know what's going to happen. We know it's going to suck. We know we're going to be miserable, but at least we know it's going to happen. So I think I would love to for myself, even, like, to get to a place, and maybe that's where I'm working towards, maybe you are as well, that we can create freedom and certainty. Like, we can choose to know that freedom is can serve us the same way that doubt is. Like we can know that this new sensation is a good one for us. It's like changing the script. It's like maybe this doubt and this nervousness isn't it's maybe it's not a bad thing, because that's something I've been trying to, like, when I get nervous before I maybe make a piece of content or something. It's like, okay, or I'm about to have a conversation with someone, like, okay, these nerves, like, it doesn't mean to run away from it. It actually means to run towards it. Like, and even just changing that frame of mind has really helped me in the pursuit of doing uncomfortable, pushing the boundary type things.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, exactly what you just said. It's about being aware of what kind of story we're projecting onto these sensations and these feelings, and
Mm.
questioning if that's reality or if that's just how we've learned to project onto it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah, that's true. Like, using that power of discernment, like, how do you know, is this serving me? You know, is this a real fear? Is this a fear that I need to be running away from, or is this a fear where, like, you need to overcome it? Like, is this really dangerous, or is this just uncomfortable, right? And you know, that right there reminds me to a point of the body work and massage therapy. Is like, we don't want people to get to a place in a session where they're in pain, but we don't mind when they're uncomfortable, because that uncomfortability leads to maybe a release, or something. So maybe talk on that. Have you experienced something like that in your work too? Like, what the difference between you know, like, pain and being uncomfortable it is, in terms of, you know, a healing body work session?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can think of a few clients and sessions, that I've had where, like, you can tell that their body is being very protective. Like, I might
Yes.
be on a trigger point very lightly. I'm not even really digging into anything, but you just touch a certain spot and they
Mm-hmm.
they tense. You
Mm-hmm.
can you can tell that there's a lot of, like, the body isn't trusting right then. The body's
Yeah.
very high strung, the body's very protective. And in times like that, because you're right, like, there's a certain degree of uncomfortability that's necessary, because from my perspective, in order to heal and release things like trigger points, tension stored in the muscles, there's a process of feeling that has to happen. You have to
Mm-hmm.
feel that discomfort and that tightness in order to let it go, right?
Yep.
It's not just, you can't just snap your fingers and then it's bliss and it's gone,
Yep.
right? So part of my job, right, as a body worker is to bring people to that place of discomfort to give them the opportunity to look at it squarely and move through it on their own. You know, I
Mm,
can't the threshold and then they can walk through it, right?
wow.
So at times like, you know, and I've got clients that are they're super defensive and their body doesn't even want to let them get close to that doorway. I'll just I'll just do static compressions on their chest, on their pecs or shoulders for like a solid minute and just breathe that nervous system down a couple notches with them, you know, and
Mm,
because they have to, there has to be a certain degree of feeling safe in order to take risks like that, in order to go to those uncomfortable places. We have to know, sometimes we have to have someone almost literally holding our hands telling us, no, it's okay, you'll come
love
out on the
that.
other side, like you can do this, you know.
Bro, that speaks volumes to if you ever do want kids, like you're gonna be a great dad. No, for real, because that
Thank you.
is like I was just seeing as you were talking about that, like, holy cow, this is the power of bringing a masculine dominated body to the work of a feminine dominated bodied industry. I don't know how to say that, but it's like, males make up 12% of the massage therapy industry. I don't know what body work is as a whole, but when you're talking like that, it's like I see that a lot in myself as well. Like you are able to almost hold someone's hand or stand in front of the doorway to make sure that the path is safe. Oh, it almost makes me want to be emotional. It's like you stand in front of this opportunity for your client or for someone that you're holding space for to say, okay, the path is clear, everything's good, and now you kind of turn back and say, no, just walk. Like the path is good, like the environment is set. I'm safe. I'm not judging you. I really want the best for you. I see that your body could use this. You just walk through the door. It's here if you want it. And I want to talk about what have you found, or if any, maybe challenges, or what is your experience as a male, as a masculine energy in this feminine type of or feminine natured work? Because that's a beautiful conversation in itself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was just talking with a friend last night on a very similar topic, so it's awesome this came up. But
Yeah.
you know, I think the reason why the industry is so populated by women and women have an easier time finding clients, you know, quite frankly, is because, you know, people are threatened by guys a lot of time, right? And there's all sorts of conditioning and reasons behind that. But someone who's more physically powerful than them, you know? And that's again a very primal, natural, instinctual way to feel, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I was talking with my friend Jared last night about is, you know, what is the purpose of masculine energy, right? If there is one, like why is there this polarity and what purpose does it serve? And a lot of times it comes off as like to be threatening, to be assertive, to be dominating, you know, like those are what a lot of people view as like masculine traits, right? But I think the highest expression of masculine energy is to make the people around you feel safe. I think that's the purpose that power serves, is to
Oh,
stabilize your environment, right?
yes,
It's
bro.
not it, it's to stabilize it, dude. And so,
Uh,
I mean, that's part of why I love this work so much, is because it's literally my job. It is the most important part of the lifestyle that I'm trying to live, that I cultivate a presence of gentleness and safety. You know, if I don't have that, I could be the most technically skilled body worker in the galaxy. But if people get a weird vibe from me when they walk in the room, it's all useless, you
uh,
know?
wow. I am
And so
so
and I
happy.
think there's so much power, you know? Like these
Yes.
big arms and muscles and these big hands, like someone can feel so much more held.
Yes.
by a big body if they know that big body is on their side, you know?
Yeah. And you know, no, and that's so true for anyone watching this who's about to experience Evan's work. It's a real thing. I remember that session, and I think we even gave that to each other. It's just, but like you have made me feel so held. Like it's God, and it's even a beautiful thing to be a male body worker and then to experience another male body worker's work, because there's this like mutual appreciation. Like, I see you, like I know what you're doing, like you are creating this environment for me to feel really relaxed, and you do have that ability, and I can't wait for you to keep evolving in this skill, because your energy is meant for that. You are this tall, gentle giant that just wants people to know that your height and your giantness is filled with compassion and like heat and warmth, right? Like there's something that's coming to me now about what fire or the archetype of fire is really all about. And it's funny because you're also in Aries as well, right? You were born April 17th.
Yeah, I'm Aries, Sun, Moon, Saturn, and Mars. So there's a
Oh
lot of fire in
wow!
my
Yeah,
chart.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. That can be a whole other podcast too. But so I have a lot of like fire archetype and story in my own experience, and something that I've learned to do with this passion and this energy and this you could say charisma or bravado, just this extroverted, loud energy, is that where I once used to be very dramatic and very emotional about the way that I would express myself, it looked like a raging forest fire. You light a match and the whole fire, everything around you burns down. But now I'm learning, and those moments still happen very much so, that where whatever's around me gets scorched, and it sucks, and that's a terrible feeling. If anyone has ever watched, and I know you have, Avatar: The Last Airbender, when Aang first learns to bend fire, he burns Katara, and everyone's pissed at him, and he's like, because he had this cool thing, and he's like, look, I'm doing it, and he had no idea the repercussions of what passion and untamed vital energy can do. And so what I have learned in my own process is to just bring that fire into the home, bring it into a fireplace, make it a hearth, make it somewhere where people can cook food and nurture themselves, because that is what our beating hearts is like. It's the warmth, it's the heat of the soul. That's what this passion fire energy is. So when you're talking about this, it reminds me of the concentration of this energy for healing purposes, and you're not doing it to burn people. And if anything, you are another just pioneer to bring, masculine energy into its true sovereign divinity. Like this is what masculine energy can really serve. Like, let me lead you to a place of healing, right? That's what we're doing. That's amazing. So let's wrap it up here with one more question. Um, is there any, maybe I'm gonna kind of just like throw out some maybe poetic terms, and you just kind of create your own answer to it. Is like, do you have any of your, like, something that maybe last words you want to say, maybe lasting impact of what you want people to understand about your work? Is there any goals that you might have in the future? And maybe, yeah, what's a lasting stamp of, like, what is your philosophy of what you're trying to do with this work?
Hmm. Thank you for giving me an opportunity, to think about that and to articulate that.
Hmm.
So there's a Buddhist sutra. I think it's called the Rohitasa Sutta, where I can't remember all of it, but the Buddha at one point he has this quote where he says, "It is within this fathom long body that I have seen the creation of the cosmos, like the persistence of the cosmos and the dissolution of the cosmos." And there's all sorts of interpretations of that text, but something that I've taken away from it and something that I've found to be so true in my own experience is how our universes are created in our bodies. Every conscious experience you have is filtered through your body. Every sight you see goes through your eyes. Every sensation you feel goes through your skin and your muscles and your nerves. The food you eat, it's physical. Everything that you experience consciously, spiritually, emotionally is physical also. And I want to give people a sense of empowerment, that if you don't like the way your life is, if you're not happy, you can do so much about that. It is not a hopeless scenario. Even, you read books and stories of people who are just bedridden with horrible diseases, but they're able to find a place of peace in their breathing, and they're able to find a sense of peace in just the touch of a loved one. And so
Mm-hmm.
if we can understand just how powerful your body is in terms of being the creator, just being able to live with that in a way of, how do I want to feel today? How do I want to feel today? And how can I honor my body and the bodies of those around me such that that feeling comes about, right?
Mm.
Um, it's all right here. It's all between your toes and the tips of your hair.
Yeah, that's great, dude. Good job. Way to really wrap that up. I'm not gonna say anything after that. I just want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for, being open and honest and allowing yourself to just get to that vulnerable space. I really appreciate you, Evan. Thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing and the awareness that you're bringing. And even if you're not like in which you are, but even if you're not in those moments of creating content, like just you showing up and waking up every day and choosing this path and choosing to walk towards your own healing and bringing new awareness to this field is so much needed and so much rewarded. And I just thank you from another masculine energy. Like, thank you for showing up.
Thank you, man. You're doing the same work and more so, just the way you're constantly learning and putting things out, and you're a powerful energy cycle in terms of furthering this work and bringing people to
Mm.
these discussions, and I'm super inspired and thankful for that, man.
Thank you. That warms my heart. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and I know we'll be in chat soon, and we'll do some more of this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hit me up whenever.
Awesome. Take care, Evan. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Be safe.
Yes. Yeah. See ya. Wow, what a good time that was. Holy smokes.
Good.
I'm just so
Sounded good.
happy. It felt good. I'm just so happy.